What is going on, my degenerates? Welcome to the Fantasy Guys. It's your man, Brandon Big Poppy Medina. We have a big week 5. As you can tell, your boy is not in studio. Your boy's on the road. We are at Austin City Limit Music Festival. We're having a fun time. Kendrick Lamar, Foo Fighters, and Shania Twain. Today we got Odessa, you got Mumford & Sons, you got all types of people. It's a fun time. Austin's weird, so we're going to get weird today with our parlays, with our picks, our starts, our sits. Lots of information coming out for fantasy football. We're here to bring you the best opportunity to win your league this week and to hopefully make some money, because our parlay of the week is at plus 500 odds right now. So we are looking pretty solid at making some money. And of course, we have some prop bets going into it as well. So this show will be a condensed version because my boy Joe Garcia is not here. Like I said, I'm out in Austin for the music festival. So this will be a 30-minute show. You will have plenty of time to get things started for your fantasy league, get things moving, get things grooving. So with that, let's get the show on the road. Let's talk about who you should start. As always, welcome to church. The fantasy gods are now in session. This is Blessed is he who starts. We have a few names on our list that you need to be putting in your lineups. And again, it is all about what you got, right? I'm not saying bench Jamar Chase. I'm not saying bench, you're starting running backs for these people, but I'm just saying if you can fit these people in your lineup, because it's going to be a very solid outing. So first up, someone I like at the flex position. Do not start him over your starters, but if you're looking rough at a flex spot, you're struggling at running backs like everybody else, maybe you don't have the best wide receiver 3 or 4. If you can find him on the waiver wire, which I doubt, but if you have him, I like Tyler Boyd. As you guys know, T. Higgins is out this game. Jamar Chase is going to get a lot of opportunities, but every game that T. Higgins is out, mostly, Tyler Boyd has himself a great game as well. I love Tyler Boyd. He fits into that wide receiver 2 position very, very quickly against a team that nobody is nervous about in the Arizona Cardinals. So I do think that's going to be a good one to look at. Zay Flowers, Pittsburgh, is in the bottom 5 defenses for wide receivers. Zay Flowers is going to have a great game. Garrett Wilson. Listen, the Jets are facing the Broncos, baby. The Broncos let up, 28 points to the Chicago Bears last week? Yeah, I'm not nervous. Or the week before, whatever it was. I'm not nervous about the Denver Broncos. So with that, I think, looking at that game, this might be a game Garrett Wilson finally gives you a top 10, top 5 performance. And so I do think it's going to be a fun one for Garrett Wilson. Michael Pittman Jr., another one facing an awful defense. I love Michael Pittman Jr. I've never been a Michael Pittman Jr. truther, but this is the game you can do it. So I like that one. Breece Hall. We got word. No snap count. Breece Hall's arrived. He's here. He's making moves. He's ready to go. Breece Hall is somebody you need to look at for your fantasy rosters. Alvin Kamara, if you waited out, like I did in the league, if you waited out the suspension for Alvin Kamara, I'm telling you now, it could not have come at a better time for him to start playing, because, man, we were struggling. We were struggling at the running back position in fantasy football. He comes in immediately, first game in, 21.5 fantasy points for PPR, catches 14 receptions, 13 receptions, had 14 targets, just ridiculous. That's not always going to be how it is, but I do think he has a good game. DeAndre Swift, let me give you a DeAndre Swift a little stat that maybe you didn't know, okay? Over the past 3 games, DeAndre Swift has had either 100 yards rushing or a touchdown. Get him in your lineup. He's going to be solid as a fantasy football RB2. And if he's a flex, even better. You're looking good, baby. So I like that. Also, the Rams allowing 111 rushing yards. Get him in your lineup. And then Anthony Richardson, baby. Listen, the phenom that is Anthony Richardson, holy hell. This man is an absolute baller. They're going against the Tennessee Titans, the Colts. I almost threw them in the can't miss parlay. I'll be completely honest with you. I almost did. Listen, he just had almost 30 fantasy points last game. He's done 20 points his first game, 17 points his second game. The dude is a monster. He's already ranked in the top 15 quarterbacks in fantasy. I like him a lot. Obviously, I'm not starting him over certain main players, but if you got a Dak Prescott who's going to be in thou shalt bench, if you got a Kirk Cousins or something like that, I'm still probably taking Anthony Richardson only because The dude is just so good on the ground and good with his movement. Kirk Cousins might have a massive game too, but Anthony Richardson is definitely in my top 8 favorite plays for sure. So that's going to be blessed is he who starts. When it comes to benching, this is where you win fantasy football games. Thou shalt bench Najee Harris. Stop it. Get out of here. Najee, you've done nothing for fantasy football this year. You've absolutely been basura, okay? You have not given us anything to be excited for. You have not given us anything to be, joyful for, right? As it stands, starting running back, Najee Harris, 37 ranked running back in PPR. Let me tell you, the past 4 games, 5 points, 6.5 points, 11 points. That was his best game last week. Best game. And he barely got over double digits. I'm not starting Najee Harris this week. Don't like it. Don't want it. Don't need anything to do with it. Cortland Sutton, dog. That Jets defense is for real. If anything that we've known this year from a Jets team is that defense is legit. Cortland Sutton has been absolutely great for fantasy. Where you got him late, and he's looked great. Cortland Sutton, somebody I'm not starting. If you have to flex him, that's fine, but I would not start Cortland Sutton if I could get away from it. And then Dak Prescott. Listen, same thing. 49ers defense, so solid. Dak Prescott threw picks to the Arizona Cardinals. You don't think he's going to throw a pick against the 49ers? Good God, no way. Dak Prescott, I'm not putting him in my lineup. I do think that game's going to be absolutely incredible. I just don't want Dak Prescott in my lineup. DeAndre Hopkins. We talked about this last time, man. DeAndre Hopkins has just really not impressed me at all. I think the juice is done for him. I think he's been kind of done for a while now. We're finally getting to see it. He had a pretty okay average week last week. So his first week, you got teased with a little bit of a comeback. 13.5 points in PPR. He goes and gives you 8 points, 7 points. Last week gives you 10 points almost on the dot. It's not enough to warrant an absolute start. You probably draft him to be a wide receiver 2 anyways. If he was your wide receiver 1, God bless, vaya con Dios, try next year, okay? Because it's not going to work out for you. But if you got him at wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, you might be able to make some movement. So I do think DeAndre Hopkins needs to get fleshed out of your lineup if possible. Kyle Pitts, dude, the Falcons, the dumpster garbage of the Falcons. I don't want any version of Kyle Pitts. First off, already kind of injured. He doesn't look to be at full health right now. As it is, last week gave you 4 points. His high on the year is 8 points, and everything else is 6 and 3 points. I mean, it's just absolutely dog shit. I'll be honest with you. Kyle Pitts needs to be out of your lineup, needs to be probably looking to get traded. I don't know if he holds any weight in your league, but find the idiot in your league that maybe doesn't watch football that much and just send him all of Kyle Pitts' coverage from the draft where people are calling him the next great tight end of this generation. Send all that and then just trade Kyle Pitts for a bag of stale chips if you can. Whatever you need to do, get him off of your team. He's awful. So I don't want any version of Kyle Pitts. And then also, hey, listen, why not? Why don't we just double up on Falcons for our benches of the week? Hey, Drake London, don't know where you are, buddy, but you're not on my team, that's for sure. Gave you 0 points in week 1 already. Should have been on the waiver wire immediately. Get out of the team. But then comes back again, teases you. 18.7 points in week 2. Oh, man. Drake London's picking back up. Gives you a 5-piece to next week because it's Drake London. And then 11 last week. And guess what? That 11, you're like, hey, Brandon, that doesn't sound too bad. He had a touchdown. Very touchdown dependent. You take away that touchdown, that's a nice little 5-point game as well. So I don't like Drake London. I don't want Drake London. If you have Drake London, you shouldn't have drafted him in the first place. You know what I mean? But so with that, that's going to be all of my bench plays as far as this week. There's going to be a few that we're going to say a little prayer for, right? We're going to say a little prayer for that maybe, just maybe, could be extremely fantasy football relevant this week. One of those is Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which you just said, we said Najee Harris you should bench. So why would I pick another Pittsburgh Steeler running back? Well, because Jaylen Warren seems to be the running back to have for fantasy football. As it stands right now, 11 points last week, 8 points the week before, 12 points the week before that. He's averaging a good 11.5 points a game. I will say the guy is going to be utilized in this game because I do expect Baltimore to get up. I expect them to throw the ball. Najee Harris is not a catchy running back. He's a straight running back. Jaylen Warren is going to be the PPR, got to be getting receptions. How do I know that? Well, he's been targeted already 20 times this year. That's a massive, massive volume for a running back that's not even starting. He's caught 5 passes the first game, 4, 3, and then 6. He's going to get passes. He can get some momentum in space. Baltimore's defense is solid, but I do think Jaylen Warren could be a sneaky little flex play. So that's somebody that we are going to say a little prayer for. And when I say a little prayer, if you're new to the show, say a little prayer are players I like for daily fantasy play, for a flex spot. Nobody I'm saying that you need to must start, but I'm just saying they could go off and you don't want them to go off on your bench, unfortunately. So with that, I love me some Jaylen Warren there. Looking at other players that could possibly have a pretty solid game, sneaky pick here, a very sneaky pick, especially in daily fantasy. If you're looking to take a long shot and you're already running out of money on your daily fantasy lineup, Michael Wilson for the Arizona Cardinals. Brandon, who the hell is that? Listen, rookie dude over here, but the past 2 weeks, 10 points, and then last week, 26.6 points for the Arizona Cardinals. They're going against the Bengals. The Bengals will be up in this game, I assume. And with that, Cincinnati is going to have to force the Cardinals to pass, and the Cardinals are going to happily oblige. And I think the Cardinals, aside from Hollywood Brown, have been really targeting Michael Wilson, so I do like him. Again, all these players you do not need in your lineup. If you can fit them, great. If you can get them in daily fantasy football, even better, because you're getting them at a huge value at a very cheap stock price. So I do like that. And then the final one, who I am starting in only one of my leagues. I have him in about 3, but somebody I love and has just proven it for 3 weeks already out of the 4. Romeo Doubs of the Green Bay Packers seems to be a target machine over the past 2 weeks. 12 targets in week 3, 13 targets in week 4, had 9 receptions in week 4. The past 2 weeks, he's averaging exactly almost 18.5 points, has had monster games. This game is going to be an interesting one. It's, first off, nighttime, baby. We got Sunday Night Football, Green Bay, Las Vegas. I love Romeo Doubs as a play today. I think he can be extremely solid. Obviously, Christian Watson's still in the mix now, but I do think Romeo Doubs could be a very, very beneficial player for you in your flex spot or in daily fantasy if you want to take the chance and get somebody who might be a little cheaper. So, talking about daily fantasy, if you are on DraftKings, if you are on FanDuel, any of these platforms that allow you to draft a squad for this games today, I'm going to give you my personal daily fantasy, and then you can let me know what you think, how you think we're going to do, and you can either tell it or you can completely fade it. It is completely up to you, but just know I'm very confident in this lineup simply for the fact that I think we are getting some massive, massive opportunities here with the players that we have. So my quarterback, he was in my start to the week. Anthony Richardson is going to be my quarterback. He is not the most expensive quarterback today. He's only costing you $7,000, which is number 6 on the lineup there. There's people going ahead of him. Of course, the normal ones, Mahomes, Hurts, Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa. I like Anthony Richardson this year. Also, Alvin Kamara, we just talked about it, had an incredible week last week. 14 targets, 13 receptions as a running back for the New Orleans Saints. They're going against New England. New England's a stout defense. They might get forced into passing the ball more. And even if they don't, I trust Alvin Kamara as a true runner than anybody else in that Saints roster. He is only $6,300, super duper low. You have people going way above him like Saquon, who might not even play. You got Kyren Williams, someone who was undrafted this year, going for the Rams, who I think has kind of fallen off. David Montgomery, Joe Mixon, names on names on names. At $6,300, you're getting somebody who could possibly give you a top 5 week in fantasy football. DeAndre Swift is my other running back there. DeAndre Swift, I just told you guys, the past 3 games, he's either hit 100 yards rushing or a touchdown. Somebody you need to be looking at. And then finally, Tyler Boyd at a sweet $4,500. Super duper low. How low is he? He's going behind Drake London, who I just told you should get rid of. He's going behind Tank Dell. He's going behind old man Adam Thielen. He's going behind so many people. He's going behind Isaiah Hodgins, who has only put up one game over 10 points this entire year. So Tyler Boyd with T. Higgins out, I like at 4,500. Zay Flowers, only 5,500. I don't think we've caught up. The NFL has not caught up to what Zay Flowers is. He is incredible, speed like crazy, and Baltimore just happens to go against the 30th ranked defense for wide receivers. Zay Flowers needs to be in your DFS lineup. And then Michael Pittman, same thing. He's going against the 26th wide receivers defense against wide receivers in Tennessee. Michael Pittman's going to be there. Sam Laporta needs to be in your lineup. It looks like it's trending like Amon-Ra St. Brown will not play for Detroit. Sam Laporta is going to be a target monster, and he only cost you $5,000. He is behind Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, and Travis Kelce. Probably exactly where he needs to be, but at $5,000, that's nothing. And then at $5,400, my final play in flex, I do have the Detroit Lions defense as well against Carolina, but $5,400, probably my favorite play at my flex spot, Mr. Breece Hall from the New York Jets, who we just heard this week from Coach Saleh. He is not on a snap count anymore. He is a full go. Dalvin Cook has looked like absolute basura. So Breece Hall is going to get a lot of work. And who is he going against? None other than the absolute dumpster fire trash organization of the Denver Broncos, who are 32nd, dead last against running backs this year. You need to have Breece Hall in your lineup, whether you get him in your flex, whether you get him in your running backs, whatever the case. Breece Hall, a massive value at $5,400. He is going behind almost everybody you can think of. Breece Hall is going behind Ramondre Stevenson, Alexander Mattison, who might lose his job today for the Vikings, James Conner, Zach Moss, who has lost his job because Jonathan Taylor got paid, baby. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. He's also going with Najee Harris, who has been absolute trash this year. Breece Hall at $5,400 on DraftKings is a absolute smash play. So with that, let's talk a little bit about Jonathan Taylor and this news for fantasy football. Jonathan Taylor just signed a 3-year, $42 million contract. Jonathan Taylor is now the highest paid running back in football, as he should be, understandable. But Jonathan Taylor gave you a scare for a long time this year. We didn't know if he was going to be a Colt. We got told that maybe he would get traded. We got told that he would sit out. You had no idea. If you traded Jonathan Taylor, I understand. If you kept him, even better on you. Great managing. Jonathan Taylor, 3-year, $42 million. They said he will be eased in today. I don't know how true that is. I feel like he might be ready to go out the gate. But Jonathan Taylor, temper expectations, but I do think he has to start based off of just the namesake, based off of how long you waited, and how awful running backs are this year in fantasy football. Jonathan Taylor most likely will be in your lineup, but he did get paid. T. Higgins, unfortunately, that rib injury still lingering, man, and T. Higgins is not going to be in today's game. It looks like T. Higgins is really, really struggling. He has a cracked rib, I believe. And so we'll see, man. We'll see what happens with T. Higgins. That's a massive loss. I have him in a few leagues. You took him pretty high in drafts, and understandably so. He was supposed to be the 1A, basically, a number 2 wide receiver in a great offense. Amon-Ra, same thing. It looks like he is going to miss this game. And I mean, he hasn't practiced like all week, I don't think. So to my knowledge, Amon-Ra might be out. Make sure you check your lineups just to make sure. As I'm recording this, he's still extremely doubtful. ESPN has him at already 0.0, which means they expect him to be out. But you got to pivot from all those. However, one lick of good news for fantasy football. Yo, Cooper Kupp, welcome back, buddy. Cooper Kupp is now looking to possibly play as well. Cooper Kupp has obviously been out on the IR. Cooper Kupp managers have been in shambles. You probably won 2 games, if that, maybe 2 or 3 games. And if you won 3, listen, you are way up on the year because you should have won 1. Cooper Kupp was that big of a loss. You took him at wide receiver 1 or 2 behind Justin Jefferson. You probably took him in pick 3 to 6, somewhere in that range. Cooper Kupp is going to be an absolute play because we have got word there are no expected limitations for him today. So he's going to make a season debut against the Eagles after spending those first 4 weeks on the injury reserve due to that calf injury. So Cooper Kupp, finally, we're going to get to see what is Cooper Kupp made of. That is very, very exciting for us as fantasy managers and fantasy football players. Listen, the world is a better place when Cooper Kupp is playing in fantasy football. So we are very excited to see that as well. Let's talk about some prop bets before we get into our can't miss locked in parlay of the week. So prop bets, you know your boy's locked in. You know your boy's ready to go. I had to get in on this week. So one that I love dearly, close to my heart, because he usually does not let me down. Usually, right? Listen, to temper expectations, but usually this line is hit pretty consistently. Who I like a lot this week, especially given the game plan, given the opportunity, given the way the game looks to go for the Cincinnati Bengals. Tyler Boyd, to me, at 45.5 receiving yards, seems to be a very solid bet against the Arizona Cardinals. Tyler Boyd, if you know him, he's a slot guy, but he could also just catch one deep ball for 38 yards and then another ball for like 7 or 8 yards, and boom, you're donezo. So I like that game. 45.5 it seems to me very doable. Do not focus on his past few games because those are games with T. Higgins, right? Those are games with the guy who is now out. Against Baltimore, he had 52 yards. That was when they were just passing and passing and passing. I think Cincinnati does get up and maybe, starts to run a little bit more, but Tyler Boyd could still be extremely useful in this game. And Arizona, for whatever reason, wants to be competitive at all the wrong times. So this could be a game where Tyler Boyd and the Cincinnati Bengals, especially with Joe Burrow, who has not looked good, could maybe find themselves struggling as the Cowboys did, struggling as the Commanders did with the Cardinals. The Cardinals seem to be just everybody's Achilles heel for whatever reason, and everybody just sleeps on them, and then they just have these crazy games that are super competitive. The other one that I like, Nico Collins, our boy, has only let us down one time out of 4 weeks. I will continue to bet him until he does not hit. He let us down one time, and it wasn't by much. So Nico Collins, 57.5 receiving yards. I am taking that. He is the guy for the Texans. If they want to beat the Falcons, they're going to be passing. They're going to be moving the ball. Dameon Pierce has not been the greatest running back, but I'll tell you what, C.J. Stroud looks incredible for the Texans. Nico Collins, I love his yardage total at 57.5 receiving yards. His target total, or his reception total, is at 4.5 receptions. He had 7 last game, had 7 against Indianapolis, but he dropped the ball against Jacksonville on everything. That's where we lost our prop bets for his receiving target total and his yardage total. He only had 2 for 34. Again, this is not a guy that has bad games for the Texans. I like Nico Collins. He is the clear-cut number one, and that's what you want with a guy like that. So I do like Nico Collins there. The other one that I like, let's see if the books have caught up to it because I took these bets a while back. They haven't. 36.5 receiving yards for Michael Wilson. He's hit that the past 3 weeks. We just talked about him as a sneaky play in our Say a Little Prayer segment. Michael Wilson for the Arizona Cardinals going against the Cincinnati Bengals. They need to throw the ball to somebody. Hollywood Brown's not going to be open all the time. Michael Wilson has seemed to be the guy for Arizona as far as targets. Last week had 7 targets. I assume those targets keep going up or at least stay at a steady pace because he has been very, very good and looked very, very consistent for a team that does not have many consistent players. So I like that one. Finally, the other one that I like is going to be our boy, Romeo Doubs. I just said it. He has gotten targets after targets. 4 receptions is what we're looking at here. I like his reception total. If not, you can take his receiving yards. I'm actually in on both. I like the reception total of 4. He just had 9 last week, 5 the week before. Also, total of 25 targets in the past 2 weeks. 4 catches is doable for a guy getting that many targets. You're going against Las Vegas. It's going to be a Monday night game. It's going to be a massive, massive opportunity for them to show out and show up. I like Romeo Doubs in this game to make some plays. Again, receiving yards or receptions, your choice. Take whichever you're more comfortable with. And then my final one for you guys. I had to dig real deep for this one. And so the one that I like in this game against Pittsburgh is my boy Gus Edwards. 47.5 rushing yards. He had 48 last week, 51 the week before, and 62 against Cincinnati. The Pittsburgh Steelers don't scare me. Listen, they really don't. So I like Gus Edwards, 47.5 rushing yards to hit. That is going to be what I want to see, baby. So with that, those are our prop bets. We went through daily fantasy. We gave you who you should bench, who you should start. Now it's time for the can't miss, locked in parlay of the week. Are you ready? First up, the first team making it in to the can't miss locked in parlay of the week is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are going against the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have been playing solid. I'm not scared of the Rams. The Eagles have made games way too close to comfort, but I'm still taking them. They are minus 210. There's not a lot of value there, but they are a high favored team, and I think they should be favored in this game. So we're taking basically the Philadelphia Eagles to win, just straight money line. And all we're doing here, people, is setting up the stakes for a positive opportunity to win a solid parlay, because if we start taking too many underdogs, one of them's going to drop us. Let's take the Eagles, highly favored, minus 210 against the Rams. The Rams do have Cooper Kupp, so expect a more competitive game, but that Eagles defense and DeAndre Swift and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts, I mean, the Eagles offense is going to be making some big moves this game. So that's one that I like. Now, we added two underdogs here. This is a wild one. Like I said, I'm here in Austin City Limits in beautiful Austin, Texas. The weather is great. The vibes are great. The music is great. But Austin is known for being weird. So we're going to keep it weird with this parlay. It's going to get a little dicey here. And if you have the cojones to bet with your boy, it's looking at a plus 582 parlay. That means $100 wins you back $682 total. So I'm taking the Eagles money line. My second team, give me the Houston Texans over the Falcons. They were at plus 115. Bijan has looked incredible, no doubt. Drake London and Kyle Pitts don't look the same. They don't look as great to me. That offense has struggled. Their quarterback playing style is awful. We don't know if Ritter's going to be the quarterback for much longer, but we do know C.J. Stroud's balling out, staying competitive. They beat Jacksonville. They're beating people who have beat the Falcons already, right? They're staying competitive with top teams. I like the Texans, Damian Pierce, Nico Collins. You got Tank Dell, who's finally showing up, rookie guy going nutso. And then you got the defense, who's looked really, really solid too. Give me the Texans in this one too. That's plus 115 money line. One more underdog. And to me, I don't know how they're an underdog, but they are. Give me the New York Jets over the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos have zero of my respect as it stands this season. I do have, unfortunately, Russell Wilson in a few leagues that are two quarterbacks. He hasn't been awful. Aside from that, Cortland Sutton's been fine. But the Denver Broncos gave up 28 points to the Chicago Bears. They got a 70 dog put on them by the Miami Dolphins. The Jets have been competitive with almost every team they faced. I don't know why this line is so different, but I'm taking the Jets plus 115. So just to recap that, Jets plus 115 money line, Philadelphia Eagles minus 210 money line, and the Houston Texans plus 115 money line for a total of a plus 582 parlay for today's can't miss locked in parlay of the week on the Fantasy Gods. That's what I'm rolling with. Again, $100 wins you $682 total. You do not want to miss it. That's going to be a very solid bet. $20, I believe, wins you about 116-ish or so, 130, somewhere in that range. So I do think either way you do it, either way you bet it, it's a solid bet. One you can take. If you don't want to bet that much, bet a 10-piece. Bet a little $10, $5, just some betting money. Make it a bankroll bet. It is a wild one. I understand it. But listen, scare money doesn't make money. We know that. You know that. This has been another episode of the Fantasy Gods. Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter at Big Poppy Brandon M. Let me know what you need help with, what you think about the games going on, what bets do you want to play, or send me all your betting slips and what hits, what doesn't. Send me your bad beats of the week. We'll talk about that upcoming this week. Again, we'll be back on Tuesday and Thursday. This week we had some massive technical difficulties, but we will be back Tuesday and Thursday talking about the Week 6 preview and Thursday Night Football. It's going to be a big, big weekend of football. There's not many people I think will disappoint. I think this is going to be a massive week of fantasy football points and relevance. So expect big games, big scores, big opportunities, and hopefully some big money coming back to you. We are very excited. If you want to follow any of my picks or place any of your own prop bets, I'm going to link the my personal link to Underdog Fantasy and Prize Picks in the description below. Please go check that out if you want to get in on the action. Prop bets are my favorite way of betting. They are so fun. If you want to take, like I said, that Gus Edwards prop, the Tyler Boyd prop, the Nico Collins prop, all of those are prop bets. I believe right now we're hitting like a 75% clip. It's been nuts. It's been crazy. Last week was the roughest week of the season for many of us and many other bettors across the country, but we are back on attack and we are ready to roll. This is the Fantasy Gods. Again, follow me at Big Poppy Brennan M. If you want to get in on those prop bets, it's in the description below. We'll talk to you soon. Happy Sunday, and like always, may the Fantasy Gods be with you.